There is a belief in the intelligence community that there is more so-called chatter going on throughout the world.
A chatter user will be able to invite a colleague to chatter.
He's talking about the chatter. And sometimes that's been by chatter on the media. Chatter.
The Chatter with Robin Quivers.
Hi, I'm Robin Quivers, and welcome to The Chatter, the show where we jam a week's worth of news into 1 hour. Later, I'll be joined by my panel, but first...
Sound off.
Herman Cain, who was considered a joke a few weeks ago, is stunning pollsters and pundits with his rising popularity. Suddenly, people are asking themselves if it's possible that two black men will be vying for the office of president in the fall of 2012. And does that signal the end of racism? It would be great if that were the case, but it's not. If racism was at an end, you'd be looking at two candidates, not two black candidates. When Bush ran against Gore, race was never mentioned. Why? Because in the collective mind of the country, they are not white men. They're just men. Men of any other color have a qualifier before their name or title. Obama is our black president. Cain is a black candidate running for the Republican nomination. He's the former black CEO of Godfather's Pizza. It's mentioned because his race is still very significant. Yes, the fact that Obama and Cain have risen to such heights is an indication of progress. Even Cain has said that racism doesn't hold anyone back in a significant way in this country anymore, but he didn't say it doesn't exist. There are deep and endemic conditions in this country created by our past history of slavery and segregation. Just look at the unemployment numbers. The overall unemployment rate is about 9%, but for blacks, it's 16%. Blacks represent just 13% of the country's total population, but make up 40% of the prison population. You'll find blacks well represented in every negative demographic you can cite. Racism is about much more than just being called names. It's great that progress is being made and is evident because of the race of the president and a viable candidate for the Republican nomination. But it's really too simplistic to start declaring that racism is dead. Maybe it's just gone underground. So there you have it.
The front page.
Joining me now is my producer, Will Murray.
All right, Robin, let's talk winners and losers for the week.
President Obama's jobs bill is dead this morning. It failed to get the necessary votes in the Senate last night.
Republicans opposed the measure because of its spending and tax hikes on upper-income earners.
The president claims his proposal contains ideas Republicans supported in the past but are now working against.
Did Obama come out a winner or loser with his jobs bill?
Obama has come out the winner after that vote because he again gets to paint the Republicans as the party of non-action and to show himself as the guy who's really trying to get something done. It doesn't matter if the program will work or not right now. Right now, at least he's proposing something, and it looks like the Republicans are keeping him from getting a jobs bill passed.
The Occupy Wall Street movement continues to gain speed across the country as it enters the second months of protests.
A recent poll that came out actually found that 7 in 10 New Yorkers support the cause of this movement.
There is no unified message. Each person has their own grievance. Some people are anti-war. Some people don't like Wall Street. Some people hate Israel.
So are the Occupy Wall Streeters winners or losers this week?
Occupy Wall Streeters, big winners. They're seeing their movement spread. They're seeing popular support among the people who live around where they're protesting. And they say that they're going to be moving into every city in the country and in cities all across the world. So I think you have to chalk up a big win this week for the Occupy Wall Street people.
Gilad Shalit, a 25-year-old Israeli soldier, was captured by Hamas militants more than 5 years ago.
To get their soldier back, Israel released more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners.
In Israel, a lot of concern that too much was given away for the release of just one man.
Did Israel come out a winner or a loser on this one?
Let me see. Israel won, Hamas 1,000. I don't think in any way you can see Israel as a winner. In fact, Israel is the big loser, and so is the world, because the people who are being released have been charged with or accused of murders and attempted suicide bombings, and now they're scattering all over the place. It raises the profile and the stature of Hamas and frees a lot of dangerous people.
It's definitely a little scary. All right, let's make some predictions. What film will win this week's box office? Here are the big openings. You got Paranormal 3, The Three Musketeers with Orlando Bloom and Mila Jovovich. I think I got that right.
You got it right.
Very good. Or Hugh Jackman's Real Steel, which won the box office last week with just over $16 million.
I don't think Real Steel will take the box office again this weekend because you do have two decent openings. My question is whether the franchise Paranormal 3 or Three Musketeers, which is a big budget movie with a lot of big stars, will take the number one slot. I'm going to go with Paranormal 3.
Paranormal 3 it is. All right, next one. Who will be the next Republican candidate to drop out of the race?
I think it's got to be that Huntsman character because he made an excuse for not going to Las Vegas, but I think it's because he couldn't afford it.
All right, and finally, who will win the World Series, the Texas Rangers or the St. Louis Cardinals?
Okay, now I know somebody has bats and somebody has pitching.
All right, fair enough.
So I'm assuming that the Rangers have the bats.
Rangers definitely have bats.
And the Cardinals have the pitching. In baseball, I always think you have to go with defense as the greater equalizer, so I'm saying the Cardinals.
All right, so Chris Carpenter and the Cardinals are winning a championship.
So that's enough questions for me. It's time to turn the tables. After the break, I'll be joined by Breitbart.TV editor Larry O'Connor, Fox News Channel's Bill Schultz, and comedian Vinny Brand for a segment we call Pick and Choose. I'm Robin Quivers, and this is The Chatter on Howard 101.
Howard 101. There is more so-called chatter going on.
Now, back to The Chatter with Robin Quivers.
Yes, we are back, and I'm very happy to introduce this week's panel. He's the editor-in-chief of Breitbart.TV and a regular contributor to Big Hollywood, Big Government, and Big Journalism. He has a nightly internet radio program on Blog Talk Radio. Please welcome conservative agitator Larry O'Connor.
Hello, Robin.
Hi there. You must be very happy to be living through a Democratic administration.
Absolutely. It keeps me employed. I like that. In fact, I'm secretly pulling for Obama in re-election.
Okay, we can't wait to hear your views. He's a writer, producer, and co-host of Fox News Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld, and he was violently killed in both Hostel and Hostel Part 2. Please welcome wild man Bill Schultz.
Thank you very much. I don't know about wild, but I'm still speaking after being killed. So
yeah, you know, those something. Are. How do you get killed in both movies?
They were not ones for continuity. You don't need. I was just reporting on the movies, but you don't need a SAG card when you're filming in Prague. So
I'm just sitting there. Next time I'll be. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you know they killed that guy in the first movie.
It's called A Very Small Budget.
And finally, he's a comedian and owner of the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He has a new comedy album titled My Life So Far. Please welcome the very funny Vinny Brand.
Well, Robin, it's a comedy DVD, an album. No one put out an album in 2011.
I'm reading what they put here. I thought maybe you had pressed an album.
I've got it on 8-track, actually.
My album drops next week.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Let's get started.
Pick and choose.
Okay, as you heard, we're doing pick and choose. And gentlemen, the idea here is very simple. I'll give you two options. You have 30 seconds after you choose to defend your choice. Okay, Larry, we're starting with you. What's more likely to help the country? Obama's $447 billion jobs plan or Herman Cain's $999 tax policy.
Considering President Obama's first plan that was $1 trillion has driven our country into debt for miles and miles in the future, and the fact that our employment has gotten worse since he proposed it, I'm going with Herman Cain's 999 plan.
Okay, well, you'd have to buy the premise that we're in the economic difficulty we are because of President Obama and not a lot of other things.
That absolutely is the premise that I'm buying. In fact, I'm living and dying off that premise, Robin.
Okay. We forget the past. We only start with what? 2008.
Facts are facts.
Okay. Bill, what do you think?
Well, Robin, as you know, I'm the leading economist at this group right now. Actually, I'm not. I pretend to be one, but I read what they say, and they say that if this jobs bill is passed, it could make 1.9 million jobs, boost our economy. And no one wants to talk about the fact that Obama's initial plan saved a whole bunch of jobs. It's not a very sexy number, but it's still true. As for this 999 thing, the only thing that does is appeal to my German heritage.
And isn't it almost revolutionary? We're going to throw out the current tax code and go with this simple 999 plan. Is that really feasible?
It's not feasible, and there's an order to it and a German aspect to it that makes me very queasy.
Okay, Vinny, it's your turn. The tax plan or the jobs bill?
I've given a lot of thought, Robin. Neither one of these plans will work for one simple reason. Neither one's going to happen. It's fantasy world. You're never going to revise the tax code, and Obama does not have the votes to pass the jobs plan. You may as well be asking me who's going to save America, Superman or Batman. Neither one exists. Batman. It doesn't matter.
There is an answer to that question.
Batman exists, sir.
Hold on a second. We're allowed to not pick either one. He's like James Kirk changing the rules.
Well, it is America. He's free to do what he would like.
Back my pickup with sound logic.
Wow.
Well, the truth is that right now they're saying that they're going to pick Obama's plan apart and vote on it individually. And so some of it will be passed and some of it won't. So maybe you have a situation where it doesn't work because it was supposed to be a whole plan.
You're already making excuses for this.
I am not making any excuses,
for
but
the failure
sometimes,
that's about to happen.
Once again, if you don't get what you really wanted to put in place, why do you have to wind up defending it? Why don't you attack the people who stopped you from getting something done?
That's what he's going to run on, so get used to it. We got 12 months of it.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Who's more likely to be forgiven by audiences? Mel Gibson, whose friend Robert Downey Jr. recently urged Hollywood to forgive the actor, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, who just started filming the Western The Last Stand? Bill?
That is easy. Here's the thing. All Arnold Schwarzenegger did was sleep with a maid. He's never said anything bad about the Jews. I'll go further and say, should a Jewish woman hit on him, he would have sex with her. Mel Gibson, on the other hand, really hurt his business by making fun of, or by lambasting the people that run his business. So that's never good.
Okay, so you're saying Arnold is the one that's easier to forgive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Despite the German background.
Vinny?
I agree. What's to forgive with Arnold Schwarzenegger? He did what every successful American man wants to do. He slept with another woman.
Did you see that, mate?
Yeah.
I won't forgive him for that.
I'm not saying he had good taste. I'm just saying. And as a multimillionaire, seriously, up the standard just a bit. Go for a hot model.
When you role play, you got to specify hot me. You can't just say me.
Yeah, you can't.
Because then you get that.
Consuela, drop the vacuum quick.
And he can afford to leave the house to find a woman.
Yes, he could afford it.
Larry, what do you say?
First of all, in Austrian, in the Old West, I won't forgive him. At the premise of Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a Western is unforgivable. I don't forgive either of them, given that I can now choose that option. So let's first think about the fact that you identified Mel Gibson as a friend of Robert Downey Jr.'s. Isn't that shocking? Doesn't it make more sense that he would be friends with Morton Downey Jr. than with Robert Downey Jr.? This is unbelievable to me and concerns me in a great way.
Mort wasn't available to talk for him.
Or for anyone, for that matter.
Is he alive?
That's my answer.
No,
he's not. I thought as much.
He's no longer with us.
Okay, so it seems to be a consensus that Arnold's the easier one to forgive.
The consensus is Mel Gibson's career is as dead as Morton Downey Jr. I think we've established that.
And
absolutely.
And if you're going to do a maid, put her at least in the outfit. And then
yes. Make sure she's French.
Yes. And she's married.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to another question. Vinny, we're starting with you. It got pretty heated this week at the Republican debate. Who wins in a fist fight, Mitt Romney or Rick Perry?
This isn't even close tough guy Texan Rick Perry kicks Mitt Romney's Northeastern prep school ass all over the podium. And you, like, when he touched him last night in the debate, and he just left his hand there, and Rick Perry's looking at him going, I'm going to just rip that off and shove it up your ass. There's no way. He does have no shot fighting Perry. No way. Romney loses.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Romney was the first to put a hand out.
Yeah, that's because his advisor said you have to look tough. And you know what? You can't look tough. You have polished fingernails. Stop it.
Larry, who wins the fight?
Well, first of all, Romney's from Michigan originally, and we're huge hockey fans there. So if they were padded up on the skates on the ice, Romney would actually kick Perry's ass, because Perry can't skate. Let's face it, he's from Texas. They don't skate down there. However, if you don't have rules, if you don't have the
in a bare knuckle street
Perry
fight.
all over the place, because Perry's an animal, you know. But if you've got rules and everyone's going to abide by the rules, like not talking when Romney is speaking, then Romney would win. So I'm going to give it to Romney if there are rules for the fight.
Did he win anything by reminding them constantly that he should be allowed to speak?
He looked like a little bit of a first grader.
He looked like a big baby.
Yeah.
It's my turn. It's my turn.
When you're turning to Anderson Cooper to back you up, you know you're in trouble. Anderson, please help me, Anderson.
Well, what about Bachman's constantly interrupting? Let me be allowed to speak. Let me be allowed
that's
to
how
speak.
women are, Bill.
And then just want to get a
manufactured soundbite.
out.
Bill, who wins in the fight?
As much as the whole don't mess with Texas thing is such a cliche at this point, you gotta go with Perry for obvious reasons. He just seems like more of a tough guy. I think and also then we'll be able to see, no matter how bad he gets Romney, if Romney Care actually works. If he beats him to a bloody pulp, we'll see if that really works. The real winner, both their individual haircuts, because not a hair will be touched or moved, no matter how bloody it gets. That helmet will remain intact.
Yes, I agree. Neither one of them will lose in terms of the hair moving. But in my final analysis, I gotta give Mitt Romney at least one vote. Come on, let's hear it for the preppies. They can fight. Come on.
That's right.
That starched khaki is like an armor. It will protect him.
After Jell-O shots, he'd be all over Perry.
Okay, Larry, this one's on you. What's the lamer remake? Footloose, which just came out, or Dirty Dancing, which is due out next year?
I'm so glad you asked. Well, first of all, is Dirty Dancing actually going to be a porno movie? Because if that's the case, I'm all over it. Otherwise, it's got to be Footloose is much lamer. Footloose originally had John Lithgow as the minister, as the dad. Yes. And John Lithgow, along with Kevin Bacon in Footloose, allowed you to connect everyone in the world when you're doing 60 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Without it, there's so many other stars. Without John Lithgow being part of that scene. Now the new one, it's ridiculous. It's insane. And we can't play that game anymore, so I'm done with it.
First of all, wasn't the first movie awful?
It was pretty bad, yeah.
Why would you remake it?
Soundtrack.
I'm about to storm out. How dare you besmirch an American classic, madam?
Okay.
I hope we're fixing that in edit.
Bill?
Hey, it was no flash dance.
I guess you're dying to speak on this. What's the lamer remake?
First of all, the real loser here is The Art of Dance. Because you cannot remake either of them. It's heresy. But yeah, Dirty Dancing, nah. Footloose, it is an American classic. Lithgow, Kevin Bacon. The girl Lithgow's daughter she was a preacher, and she was wearing these sexy red boots.
Yeah, the boots were
I believe she smoked a joint. You're not going to see that in the remake. Worst part is the guy that's playing Kevin Bacon, an Australian. It's like spitting on the American flag.
Absolutely. Vinny, you want to weigh in here?
I am proud to say that it is definitely Footloose is the lamer remake. And I will tell you why. Okay, first of all, I never saw either film because both were lame from the get-go. I knew that because I have a lot of testosterone in my body, and I don't know how either one of you could have seen the films and even comment.
I think the answer is
Footloose
obvious.
cannot be remade, because if I hear Kenny Loggins sing Footloose one more time, I'm going to find Mrs. Loggins and punch her right in the uterus. That is an awful song.
Are we sure it's not a Mr. Loggins?
I don't care.
I mean,
hold on. There was Jennifer Grey with her former nose was very hot in that version.
Yes.
That Dirty Dancing.
Agreed.
So don't you be casting aspersions
Absolutely.
on
Nobody messes with Baby.
That's right.
The
Nobody
lamer
puts Baby in the
remake is
corner.
Footloose. This has to be my favorite panel. And yes, I plan on saying that every week. Okay, moving on.
5, 1. By the numbers.
That's right. This segment is called By the Numbers, and every answer will be a number. Larry, starting with you. At this point in the race, how many Republican candidates have a legitimate shot of beating Mitt Romney for the nomination?
I was told there would be no math. It was in my. How many have a chance of beating Mitt Romney?
A chance of beating Mitt Romney.
1.
And that would be?
I'm not sure. No, honestly, Perry is the only one who has a chance. He's got the money, he's got the infrastructure, he's got the organization on the ground, and you can never count out a governor from Texas who's got some good fundraising behind him. I know that he's falling apart right now in the debates, but that doesn't mean much when you get to primary and caucus season.
So what's going on now with Herman Cain? I mean, is this just
Herman Cain is great.
flirtation?
He's going to have a great... listen, I think that it speaks to what the Republicans and conservatives are really looking for. We like the straight talk. We like the fact that he's got some ideas that get people excited, and he's an inspiration. I mean, how can you not listen to him and not feel great about America?
I don't like Godfather's Pizza. What's so inspirational about him?
Well, putting the pizza aside, he is a great success
story. The fact that he saved that company, I think it's bad for America.
I understand. But the problem is with Herman Cain is that he doesn't have the organization on the ground, and that's going to hurt him in Iowa and New Hampshire where it counts.
Bill?
I thought we already established this in the last segment. 1, Perry. Wait, you're saying beating up Romney?
No. This is beating him for the nomination.
Oh, I've gotcha. I feel like Romney's got it locked up. I mean, with respect to what Larry said, I just don't think Perry has a chance. Even with all the money he's got behind him, the debates were just so god-awful. And as far as Herman Cain is concerned, yes, he saved Godfather's Pizza, but doesn't that adhere to a lot of negative Italian-American stereotypes? Godfather's Pizza. Oh, also mob connected. I mean, come on, Herman. He's not going to get the Italian vote.
Vinny?
Or the Soprano
There's
vote.
only one candidate that can beat Mitt Romney, and that's Jesus. And I'll tell you right now, if Rick Perry picks Jesus as a running mate, he's got it locked up.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Jesus thinking of entering the race?
He ought to, because he'll run away with it.
Boy, that's going to mess up the whole Mormon thing in a big way.
And if Cain picks Jesus, we could have a movie, Jesus and the Black Man. This could be a huge campaign.
Yes, absolutely.
No one beats Romney.
Wasn't that a show in the 70s, Jesus and the Black Man? Remember they did quite well.
The Occupy Wall Street movement celebrated its first month of existence this week. How many more weeks will the protest last?
4 and/or 3, dependent on the winter solstice. Once I think the temperature changes, their minds will as well.
Really? Yeah. You think this is a bunch of namby-pambies who, as soon as the cold comes, they're out of there?
I like a lot of what they're doing over there, but it's one thing to reek, it's another thing to get frostbite. And as we've learned through a myriad of Mount Everest movies, frostbite is no fun. Particularly when the limbs start falling off.
Maybe they're snowbirds and they'll move to Florida.
Most bums do. The smart ones do. The smart ones take the hobo train to Florida. The dumb ones stay in New York.
Vinny, how long is Occupy Wall Street going to last?
I agree. We're one good rainstorm away. This is not going to last. They have nothing to say, first of all. No one knows what they want. So it's one of two things are going to happen. Rain's going to wash them away, or someone's going to stand up and go, hey, what the fuck are we doing here? And they're all going to go home.
I love how people say that they don't have a coherent message. They don't need one. They just need to show that they're disgruntled. Okay, Larry, what do you say? How long are they going to last?
They've got a couple $100,000 in donations already, not just from individuals, but also from the unions. They can get space heaters if they have to get down there. I'm sure Mayor Bloomberg will give them the permit. I hope they stay down there all the way through the election. New York deserves it. What did New York go 72% for Obama? Congratulations. Here's what you get, and I hope they stay.
Here's what you get also entails free pod. We'll take it.
Well, if they pass the jobs bill and there's work again, a lot of them will go just back to work, and that would be nice too. Join the capitalist society.
These guys are there lining up to build bridges. Sure, that's what's going to happen.
They're already building cardboard forts.
Yeah, exactly. And the bridge to nowhere will be made out of cardboard. Here's the thing: as soon as the guys figure out they can't get laid down there, the whole thing's going to end. It's going to be ugly.
I heard that if you've got a tent, you can get laid.
It's drying up, though. It's drying up.
If you have a tent, sex is rent. That's a sign.
Hey, Bill, after the show, let's head down there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lots of condoms.
Tiger Woods was a controversial pick for the upcoming President's Cup. Tiger hasn't won in the last 2 years and has fallen out of the top 50 for the first time since he was 20 years old and a rookie in 1996. How many more tournaments will Tiger win?
I'm going to tell you right now, Tiger's going to win about 15 more tournaments. That's the good news. The bad news, they're all seniors tournaments. He's done. He's done. He's broke. His knees are shot. He's over. Loved you, Tiger. Move on.
All right, Larry.
Yeah, do you mean major tournaments or just tournaments in general? Because
this was a guy who was supposed to be after the record.
Right. So for the majors, I have to agree, despite all the personal failings and all of the distractions, my biggest concern is his physical abilities. And this breaks my heart. I mean, I've been such a fan of his. He's been a hero of mine. But his knees are in trouble. The fact that he's had to have a couple of procedures now and he keeps tinkering with the swing. I want him to win a couple of more, but I think he's going to win one more. I think it'll be a huge, like the biggest sports story of the decade.
And he should go out at
and
that
that'll
point.
be it. Exactly.
Can I just say one thing? You have to have a better hero than a golfer. A golfer can't be your hero.
Well, what are you going to pick from these days?
That's true, too.
Bill?
It was either him or Dennis Rodman.
Since when was knees such a big deal in golf? I thought all he needed was a pleated pants and free time.
Yeah, these two are acting like it's a sport.
Seriously. Here's what we've learned from all this. Sex was his performance-enhancing drug. Clearly the guy's not getting laid, and once he starts getting with perhaps some better-looking maids than Schwarzenegger had, I think he'll start doing better. The guy is just trying to be a good, upstanding father, when really what he needs to do is have kinky, anonymous sex.
Amen. Larry, the latest filings showed President Obama raised over $42 million from July to September for his 2012 campaign. How much more money will Obama need to raise to win a second term in office?
Exactly. Ultimately, I think he's going to hit the billion mark on this one.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. I have no idea. It's gonna be that much. I don't think he's going to raise as much as he did last time. I'm not going to put a number on it, but actually that $42 million is actually below the pace that he was at when he was in the race against Hillary Clinton last time he was running for a nomination. If Romney does get the nomination, there's going to be a lot of money backing him as well. And I know that Obama's going to lose a lot of the Wall Street money that he had last time, considering he's vilifying them.
Well, he's going to lose the Wall Street money and the Occupy Wall Street money because there are a lot of students who were invigorated by his campaign last time and they're disgruntled.
And let's face it, a lot of the rich donors that gave to his campaign back in 2008, they're not doing so great after 3 years of Obama. They don't have the money to give him.
Bill?
I think if Obama's facing Romney, he's going to need to raise a lot of money. If he's facing Perry or Kaine, he's going to need to raise -4. I think you won't have to worry about a second term. He'll get that, but depends on the candidate.
What about you, Vinny?
He's going to have to raise $447 billion and put it into a jobs program that works. He's not going to. He needs a lot. He needs a miracle.
Yeah, he needs to raise our taxes to be able to
Yes, he needs to get us back to work.
Not mine. I'm very poor. I can't emphasize that enough.
That explains the shoes.
I didn't know we were with such wealthy guys. They're the rich whose taxes
We're the
are
1%, baby.
Right
here.
Wow, I feel so honored that you're here.
Robin, you're really hurting me.
Yeah, if I had your money, I'd burn mine.
Yeah, exactly.
You people continue to impress, and when we come back, we'll continue to pass the blame. This is The Chatter on Howard 101, and we'll be right back.
Howard 101.
Chatter.
We're back with more of The Chatter with Robin Quivers.
Welcome back to The Chatter on Howard 101. Today I'm joined by right-wing nut Larry O'Connor. Check him out at Breitbart.tv. Left-wing nut Bill Schultz. Check him out weeknights at 3 a.m. That's where all the right-wing that's where the right-wing nuts should be. It's the left-wing nuts are confined to 3 a.m.
We cater to mathematics.
He's on the Fox Channel's Red Eye. And just plain nut Benny Brand is here with us. Check him out at bennybrand.com. Now back to the show.
Don't even go there.
Oh, yeah. Don't blame yourself. The Blame Game.
That's right. We're up to the blame game. Nobody likes to take the blame, and that's why we're here, because we get to pass it out. Bill, a recent Pew study shows that President Obama is getting worse coverage than anyone else. The study looked at stories from 1,500 news sources from the past 23 weeks and found that negative assessments of President Obama outweighed positive assessments by almost 4-1. So who's to blame? Is Obama's job performance the reason for the critical coverage, or is the media overcompensating for the liberal bias tag?
Well, I think this flies in the face of critics who complain that there is a liberal bias in the media, those that call them the lamestream media rather than the mainstream media, remembering I work at Fox News. That is a bunch of smoke and mirrors. The press has never been more liberal. If anything, they should be harder on Obama, hoping that my review will be good.
So you just say it just flies in the face of what most people say is a liberal media
Here's
bias.
the thing. Does a lot of the media slide a little liberal? Absolutely. Is it as bad as some say? No, it's not. And I think that proves it.
You know, how can you report on President?
I didn't ask you. Who are you?
Boy, was I set up for that one.
I was being very good down here, behaving myself.
Thank you, Vinny. And you're going to get a gold star next to your name.
I appreciate the ref right here. That was great.
How can you report on Obama for the last 23 weeks and not have something negative to say? What good is happening? If
there was a liberal media, wouldn't they try as best they could to spin it in some positive way, much like the Republican media does?
And they have. The fact that he's still at 38% in the recent Gallup poll for positive feedback is because of the liberal media. And by the way, I was told that there was no bias at all in the media. So why would this Pew Research suddenly come out and say, oh, there is a media bias, but it goes the other way?
Who told you that?
And by the way...
What, were you over at Fox where it's fair and balanced?
That's right. It's appropriate, though, that a study on journalism is from the Pew Institute. Because
absolutely,
it
I say Pew to that, too. Vinny, in recent testimony at a corruption trial, a former narcotics detective said members of the NYPD routinely planted drugs on innocent people to meet arrest quotas. The detective claimed supervisors put pressure on police to get more results or possibly be demoted and paid extra overtime for hard drug busts. The suspects in this case were lucky security cameras proved that they had been framed and the city paid $300,000 to settle their false arrest lawsuits. Who's to blame in this shocking story? The police who planted the drugs or the supervisors who insisted on the results?
You talk about your liberal media slant. First of all, how come I don't get to pick the suspects are to blame? Because let's face facts. When cops plant drugs, they do it on people that probably should go to jail anyway for something else.
Excuse me. Wait a minute. Isn't this a country where you're innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, well, Robin, sometimes you gotta look at someone and just know there's shit going on, and a little drug didn't help me get you off the street, okay? I could never be a police
wind
chief.
up in the wrong neighborhood, and it could happen to you.
Not me. Look at me.
I want to know why Bill was sweating through this whole story. He was
If I
getting
was
really
in that
nervous.
wrong neighborhood, people would be going, "Are you a lawyer? Help me."
Where does one usually plant these drugs, and can you get there before the bust actually happens? That's what I want to know. Because you know the cops got the best stuff.
Larry,
yes,
NBA Commissioner David Stern canceled the first 2 weeks of the NBA season as the lockout continues. The main obstacle remains how to split up the nearly $4 billion in revenue. Players already agreed to move down from the 57% they received in the last deal to 53%. The league is currently offering 47%, and talks broke down last week when Stern suggested a 50-50 split. Who's to blame, the players or the owners?
Big labor. Big labor. It messes up everything, especially in an environment where you don't need a union. Why do we need a union in the NBA? Are these guys really hurting? What's the minimum salary for a basketball player? Like a few $100,000? Let this be a competitive environment. Let the owners compete against each other in a free market environment. Let the players compete in a free market environment. Don't have all of these caps. Don't have all of this revenue sharing. Let the market dictate and get the union out of it.
Well, I believe that the players need a union because they would never get heard if they were just going in to talk individually.
Oh yeah, Michael Jordan would have never made any kind of money.
There wouldn't have been a Michael Jordan.
If there weren't a union, there would have been no Michael Jordan without a union.
You act as if owners love to just pour money on their players.
The good ones, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. What world did you grow up in?
What's the most successful league in America? The NFL. And it is communist.
That's
revenue
right.
sharing, parity, salary caps. There is not a less capitalistic area in America and one that doesn't make the most money than the NFL.
And it's not the weakest union.
No,
that's
NFL
the
has the
point.
weakest union, and everyone's making money.
But they
No, they're
and
not
the union
making
should
money.
be stronger because the median age for an NFL player is 55 before they die. The owners don't deserve that money. Give it all to the players.
I can't believe him. He's agreeing with you, and you're arguing the opposite point.
The other thing is the other thing is NBA owners 22 of 58 teams now. Oklahoma City's got a team. That should tell you something. They're claiming they lost money last year. No, they didn't.
Right.
No, they didn't.
Have you been to a Nets game? I've been to a Nets game. They're losing money.
He doesn't need to make a profit with
that
them.
guy that owns a team. That's all that was there. 2 of the players didn't show up. Please.
I blame the Russian billionaire guy. Mob ties.
At the last Nets Clippers game, there were more people in this room than at that game.
All right, we're bringing it to a close right there. That's enough blame for one day.
We're going to occupy this studio. We're not leaving.
Let's keep
I already
going.
stink.
We're moving on to something we call All Aboard.
All aboard.
A new study claims marriage may prolong your life after Norwegian researchers learned bachelors who developed cancer were 35% more likely to die at a younger age than their married counterparts. Are you on board with marriage being healthier than single life, Denny?
Absolutely, because if I had cancer, I would need my wife to remind me to take my chemo. She would have to make sure that I'm doing what I had to do. And if you're married, you're not hanging out with hookers. There's less drugs in the house. You're not hanging out with your buddies. Married life definitely healthier than single life.
Really? I
No
thought
doubt.
most married guys were wishing to die.
Yeah, well, that's a different subject matter altogether. It seems even longer than it is.
Okay, Larry, are you on board with this?
These researchers have never met my wife. No, I am on board with this. I think that men are much happier when they're married, and if you're happy, I think that you have less stress in your life and you're less tense, and you tend to deal with things a little bit better. I don't know how it relates to cancer, though. I don't see
It
how
worked
it's
out in
causal.
this study.
Yeah.
The guys, had a better recovery
No,
rate.
maybe it was prostate cancer, and they got things worked out a little bit better, if you know what I mean.
What do you think, Bill?
Spoken like two men who know their wives are listening.
You're not on board with
I
this.
would rather die young and happy than old and miserable any day of the week. Hookers and drugs? Yeah, that's not healthy. Hookers and drugs? Yeah, that's fun. Call me hookers and drugs. I'm single.
Okay, Bill, we're starting with you this time. The Rosie Show premiered with only 497,000 viewers and dropped more than 36% of its audience on night 2 with only 317,000 viewers. Are you on board with Rosie's show surviving long term? And what about Oprah's network making it?
Well, I think Oprah's got to get a lot more involved in every aspect of her network for it to make it, even the commercials. And I don't care how disgusting the product, she's got to be right there selling it. Massengill, Oprah right there with it in her hand. As far as Rosie's numbers are concerned, she can't blame it on anti-gay bias, and I'll tell you why. Because look at
brought
Oprah.
that up?
I'm just saying, I'm just saying she could use that as an excuse. She's a bit militant. But she can't use that as an excuse because look at Oprah and Gayle. I'm sure we'll lose that in editing.
Why would that be? This is a freedom of speech area.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, what about you, Vinny?
I didn't know Rosie O'Donnell had a show, and 297,000 people
problem.
knowing she had a show is an amazing statistic for me. That 317,000 showed up the second time. She should be thrilled. No, it probably won't make it. She's had her moment in the sun. Oprah will always make it. Oprah's going to be around long past all of us. When they dig up our society, it'll be Oprah shit that'll be the first thing they find.
So you think the network will survive, maybe not Rosie?
I don't think Rosie's going to make it, but the network will survive.
Okay. Larry,
Yeah.
some recent polls have Herman Cain leading the Republican presidential candidates. Are you on board with Cain as a nominee?
I'm on board with Herman Cain as the nominee. If he does get the nomination, I'll be surprised if he does, but absolutely I'd be on board with him. I'm on the Herman Cain train, baby. I think he's great. He really is inspiring. And whenever I hear him speak, I don't know if you've seen his speeches that he's done at Tea Party rallies or at various things.
Oh, yeah, I'm always at the Tea Party rally.
Well, the videos are available at Breitbart TV. He's really, he makes you feel great about this country, and I think that that's something that's been missing in our politics
I
for
think
quite
that's
some time.
missing, and I also think that, his simple way of speaking, he's not flowering everything up. He doesn't make it complicated. He has a common sense approach
He cuts
to things.
through the shit,
Yeah.
Robin, is
Yeah.
what he does.
That's
He
what I
cuts
was
through the
trying to
shit,
say.
and
You
I-
got me.
And that's something that we're yearning for.
So you're on board with
I am,
Herman
absolutely.
Cain. What about you, Bill?
I'm not on board with that colorful language. I'll tell you that right now. This is a family show. I would say I'm on board for the entertainment value. I mean, he's already said that when someone asks him who the leader of Uzbekistan is, he's going to say, I don't know. Do you? I not only want to know who the leader is, I want him to tell me where Uzbekistan is. That sounds like a lovely place to visit. So, yes.
You're
I like
on board.
Herman Cain. Sure.
What about you, Vinny?
I definitely, number one, he is funny. Number two, I think this country's ready for its first black president. And I'll tell you right now, I think Herman Cain's the man.
Very nice. That's right. Finally.
That's right. Cutting right through it all.
I want a black candidate that was born in America. I said it.
Okay, Vinny. California Governor Jerry Brown signed legislation last week banning minors from using tanning beds, which have been linked to skin cancer. Are you on board with banning teens from indoor tanning?
No, the cops have enough to do planting drugs on people and making busts. I don't need the cops kicking in the door of a tanning salon, yanking a 17-year-old girl out and saying that's against the law. That's number one. Number two, if you go into a tanning bed and you get skin cancer, guess what? There's too many people on the planet now. Something has to thin the herd, okay? Why not let them look great on their way out? That's what I say.
Okay, Larry?
Yeah, they've actually figured out a way around this law. They've actually opened up, it's a tanning bed / abortion clinic. And Jerry Brown is fine with teenagers going in there and getting their abortions and not having their parents' approval for that. And then you get a nice tan at the same time. I'm not making fun of abortion, by the way. Don't think that I am, but I'm just making a point.
Very good. I'm going to listen back and try to figure out what he just said after the show. Bill, what about you? Are you on board with banning tanning for teens?
No, I'm not, because I've always been sexually attracted to carrots. And that look, rather than the natural sunlight that provides an actual tan, is something that I enjoy.
You are hot for John
I'm
Boehner.
kooky for Snooki, yeah.
Oh, Snooki.
You know,
I guess that's one way to go,
teenagers
too.
also, they already need fake ID to get liquor. You shouldn't have to get a fake ID to get a tan. Just let it be. Let them do what they got to do.
Although that would add some added bucks to the economy of Times Square, getting little fake IDs over there. 18 years old for tanning beds.
You know, I'm from California, and it's sunny a lot.
Why do you need fake tans?
I don't understand it. Because they're busy doing homework?
That's it for All Aboard. When we come back, we'll say goodbye and hello to our favorite moments of the week. This is The Chatter. I'm Robin Quivers on Howard 101.
There is more so-called chatter going on.
Now, back to The Chatter with Robin Quivers.
Welcome back to The Chatter. We have time for one more.
Hellos.
Can't you just say hello like a normal person?
And goodbyes.
I just came to say goodbye.
That's right. We're calling this segment Hellos and Goodbyes. We'll start with Larry. You have 30 seconds to say hello and goodbye.
Goodbye to Ron Paul. I'm done with this guy. He actually ran on the Libertarian ticket back in the 80s. He's the one who left the Republican Party years ago. He gave excuses to Al-Qaeda for the terrorist attack, and now at last night's debate, he actually condemned Ronald Reagan and asked the other candidates to do so. Goodbye to him, and hello to a very exciting NFL season. This is really a great season where teams like the Lions and the 49ers, who never had a chance the last few years, are really doing well. I'm loving NFL this year.
Very good. Bill?
Mine's a personal one. I'd like to start off with a goodbye. My coworker Andy Levy recently came down with a staph infection, MRSA related, and he has just come back to the office, and he has not spread any of it. The MRSA is gone. Goodbye to MRSA. Unfortunately, after a doctor's appointment this morning, I have to say hello to hepatitis A, B, and the very rare D. So I have that, and I apologize to my coworker.
You tell me this after we made out in the green room.
Hey, you already shared my water.
We shared water. I was going to say that. That's awful.
I was just going to say, I hope you're not spreading that around.
I spit on the microphone, by the way. FYI. You guys have any sanitation?
Vinny, hellos and goodbyes.
Hello to the new American movement, Occupy Wall Street. Movements are no longer concerned with the greater good, like women's suffrage or civil rights or peace. Now we're concerned with one thing and one thing only: more money for me, somehow, preferably your money. Is the only movement that could go away if they would just hit on a group lottery ticket, and they could just conveniently all walk across the street to a Wall Street firm and say, invest this, okay? And goodbye to nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. Pan Am, and what's the other one? Pan Am and Playboy both failed. Okay, Wow. Pan Am failed because no one even remembers what Pan Am was. Who cares? And Playboy failed because if you're still interested in sex, we've all got the internet. You really don't need to see it on television, all right? Maybe a sitcom like Pan Am Playboys would work, or maybe the first episode, a pilot helps someone join the Mile High Club after a really hot screening at a little booth in the airport there.
Very good. And from me, I have to say hello to an increase in Social Security benefits for the first time since 2009. Starting next year, 55 million Social Security recipients will receive a 3.6% increase in benefits. The average benefit payment is about $13,000 a year, and that 3% increase will amount to an additional $39 a month, or $497 a year. Social Security has come under fire recently, but feeding, housing, and clothing grandma for the price of a used car seems like a reasonable deal to me. And goodbye to Lindsay Lohan, who just had her probation revoked and learned an upcoming court hearing will determine whether she'll serve jail time. Lindsay was reportedly a no-show 9 times at Downtown Women's Center, where she was ordered to complete community service for a misdemeanor shoplifting conviction. The judge recommended she serve 16 hours of service at a local morgue before her next trial. Yes, Lindsay said that she really didn't like the Women's Center. There were people there. So maybe the morgue is the place that she can actually serve out her probation. Good luck, Lindsay, and goodbye.
I spent more time at the Downtown Women's Center than Lindsay
Throw into a box while you're at the morgue.
Yes, those women were mean. And that's the show for this week. I'd like to thank my panel, Larry O'Connor. Check him out at Breitbart.tv. Bill Schultz from Red Eye at 3 a.m. on Fox News Channel. And Vinny Brand at VinnyBrand.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week on The Chatter, right here on Howard 101.